The heart is a mirror. Polish it, and you'll see wonders.
The adornment of the spiritually transformed, Hilyat al-Abdal, and those spiritual knowledges and states that manifest from it, written by Ibn Arabi, 1203, and translated by Stephen Hertenstein, 2008. Our master and leader, the Sheikh, the Imam, the Gnostic, the Verifier, the best of the Prophet's own circle, al-Salaf, and the support of those who follow, al-Khalaf, Muhyi al-Din Abu Abdullah Muhammad bin Ali ibn Muhammad ibn al-Arabi al-Tā'if al-Hatimi al-Andalusi, may God be pleased with him, says, "In the name of God, the all-compassionate, the most merciful, and may the blessings of God be upon our Master, Muhammad, and all his family. Praise be to God for what he has granted as inspiration and for making known to us that which we did not know. God's grace towards us has been tremendous. May God's blessings be upon our most honorable Master, who was granted the totality of the words in the supreme abode, and may he greet him with salutations of peace. I consulted God on Sunday night, the 12th of Jumada in the year 599, at the place of Al-Mayya in Tā'if, during a visit to the tomb of Abd Allah ibn Abbas, the Prophet's cousin. This was because of a request by my companions, Abu Muhammad Abd Allah Badr and Abu Abd Allah Muhammad bin Khalid al-Sadafi. May God grant them both success. They asked me to write for them, during the time of this visit, something from which they could benefit concerning the path of the hereafter, Tariq al-Akhirah. So I made my appeal to God for this, and wrote for them this short treatise, which I have entitled, The Adornment of the Spiritually Transformed, and those spiritual knowledges and states which manifest from it, that it may be of assistance for them and others upon the path to true happiness, and a chapter that brings together the various forms of spiritual desire, irada, from the one who has bestowed existence upon the world. We beg support and help. True governance hukum is the fruit of wisdom hikmah, and true knowledge is the fruit of gnosis marifa. Thus, one who does not possess wisdom has no true governance, while one who does not possess gnosis has no true knowledge. The one who possesses true governance and knowledge belongs utterly to God, firmly existent, whereas the one who possesses wisdom and gnosis, al-Hakam al-Arif, exists through God, halted. Those with true governance and knowledge are the people of the letter Lam, and those with wisdom and gnosis are the people of the letter Ba. The renunciate zealously abandons his life in this world, and the one who trusts in God passionately entrusts his affairs to his master, and the aspirant is taken up with audition and ecstatic states, and the worshipper fervently renders worship and strives in devotion, and the person of wisdom and gnosis is enamored of his spiritual will and resolve. Yet those who possess true knowledge and spiritual governance are concealed in the world of the unseen, gaib, so that they are unknown to the Gnostic, aspirant or worshipper, and they are invisible to the one who trusts in God and the one who renounces the world. For the renunciate abandons the world for the purpose of being recompensed. The entruster fides in God to attain the object of his desire. The aspirant seeks ecstasy to relieve distress. The worshipper strives hard in his longing for closeness, and the wise Gnostic, through his spiritual will, aim at the union. However, the real God only reveals himself to one, who can no longer be described or named at all. Gnosis is a veil over the one cognosed, and wisdom a door before which one halts. What remains that can be described are causes, like the letters, and these are all secondary effects, blinding vision and blotting out light. If the created world, kun, did not exist, the essence would have manifested. If there were no names, the named would have appeared. Were there no original love, then the union would have endured. Were there no apportioning, the degrees would have been overruled. If there were no he-ness, the I-ness would have manifested. If there were no he, then he would have become existent. If there were no you, then the mark of ignorance would have been totally obvious. If there were no veiled understanding, then true knowledge would have established its supremacy. Then would these dark clouds of oppression have dispersed, and this army of doubt would have been dispatched by the sharp swords of annihilation. He who dwells therein forever, in the mysteries of eternity, revealed himself to your heart. But what veils the essence from its own attainment is none other than you, though this be merely speaking in imagery. It became clear to the heart that the one whom it saw has dwelt therein always and forever. Thereupon came a divine address, replete with words, its radiance manifesting the contours of the place. The 4 pillars of spiritual transformation. At Marchena of the Olives in Al-Andalus, we once had a companion, one of the men of sanctity, al-Salihin, who used to teach the Quran. He was an excellent jurist, who knew the Quran and Hadith by heart, a man of piety and merit who served the poor, fuqara. His name was Abd al-Majid bin Salama. He, may God grant him success, once told me of the following incident. One night I was praying, and I had just finished my prayer and had put my head between my knees, invoking God when I felt someone's presence. This person pulled out my prayer mat from under me and replaced it with a palm leaf mat. Then he said to me, "Perform your prayers on that." Now the door to my house was shut, and fear of him took hold of me. He said to me, "One who enjoys intimacy with God feels no fear." Then he added, "But fear God in every state." Then I had an inspiration and asked him, "O my Lord, by what means do the substitutes become substitutes?" To which he replied, "By the 4 things which Abu Talib al-Mak mentioned in the Qut al-Qulub: silence, seclusion, hunger and vigilance." Then he left me, without my having a clue as to how he had come in or how he had gone out, for my door remained closed and the palm leaf mat was still under me. This man was one of the substitutes, whose name was Mu'adh ibn Ashras, may God be satisfied with him. The 4 things which he mentioned are the supports of this most radiant way and its foundations. One who does not involve himself in them, or is not deeply grounded in them, strays from the way of God. Exalted is he. Our objective in these pages is to speak of these things in 4 separate sections and discuss what they bestow of spiritual knowledges and states. May God make us and you of those who are realized in them and permanently established in them. Indeed, he has full ability and power to do that. Silence, Samt. There are 2 kinds of silence. Firstly, silence of the tongue, which consists of not speaking of other than God the Exalted, with other than God the Exalted altogether. And secondly, silence of the heart, which consists of refraining from all thought occurring in the soul that concerns any created thing at all. The one whose tongue is silent, even if his heart is not, lightens his burden. When someone's tongue and heart are both silent, his inmost consciousness is manifest, and his Lord reveals himself to him. The one whose heart is silent but whose tongue is not, is a speaker with the tongue of wisdom. The one who does not possess either a silent tongue or a silent heart is under the domination of Satan and an object of his ridicule. The silence of the tongue is one of the abodes of everyone and of all seekers, salikun. The silence of the heart is one of the distinctive qualities of those brought close, mukarabun, who are people of true contemplation. The state that silence brings the seekers is safety from all harm, while the state that it brings those brought close is intimate converse with God. He who maintains silence in all states has no speech except with his Lord. Complete silence of the tongue within is impossible for the human being. Thus, if he withdraws from talking with others in favor of converse with his Lord, he becomes delivered, brought close, one who is endorsed in his speech when he speaks, and does so according to what is proper, and hits the mark. For he speaks out of God, an Allah, exalted is he. God has said with regard to his prophet, and he does not speak out of passion. Speaking according to what is proper is the fruit of silence, which is refraining from error. Conversing with other than God is an error in every case, and speaking of other than God is bad in every respect. God says, "There is no good in much of their secret discourse, except for one who enjoins almsgiving, or what is equitable, or promotes reconciliation amongst people, observing all their conditions." God also says, "They were given no order except to worship God, pure in devotion to Him." Connected to the state of silence is the station of inspiration in its various forms. Silence bequeaths knowledge of God, Allah. Exalted is He. Seclusion, Uzla. Seclusion leads to silence for man, since one who withdraws from human company has no one to talk to, and that naturally leads to silence of the tongue. There are two kinds of seclusion. Firstly, the seclusion of the aspirants, muridon, which consists of not associating physically with others. And secondly, the seclusion of the verifiers, muhakkikun, which consists of having no contact with created things in one's heart. Their hearts have no room for anything other than the knowledge of God, exalted is He, which is the witness of the truth in the heart that results from contemplation. The people of seclusion have three motives. A. The fear of the evil of other people affecting oneself. B. The fear of one's own evil affecting others. This is a higher perception than the first, as in the first case, one thinks badly of others, while in the second, one thinks badly of oneself, and thinking badly of oneself is better since you are more knowledgeable of yourself. C. The preference for the company of the Master from the sublime assembly. The most elevated of men is one who parts from himself out of preference for the company of his Lord. One who prefers seclusion to the company of others prefers his Lord to that which is other than him. And no one can know what gifts and mysteries God showers upon the one who prefers his Lord. Seclusion never happens in the heart, unless the heart feels an estrangement from that which one is separating from, and an intimacy with the one with whom one is secluding oneself, which is what drives one into seclusion. Seclusion has no need of the extra condition of silence, as silence is necessarily included within it, insofar as it is silence of the tongue. As for silence of the heart, seclusion does not necessarily lead to it, since one could converse with oneself about other than God, and with other than God, exalted is He. This is why we have considered silence to be one of the pillars archaean on the way in its own right. One who makes seclusion their practice grasps the mystery of the divine unity, wahdaniyah. In terms of knowledge and mysteries, this brings to him the secrets of the uniqueness, ahadiyah, insofar as it is a quality. The true spiritual state of seclusion, whether it be that of the seeker or the verifier, is to be transcendent of all attributes. The highest state of seclusion is retreat, khalwa, for it is a seclusion within seclusion, and its fruit is stronger than that of ordinary seclusion. One who makes seclusion his practice must have certainty regarding God, exalted is He, until he has no thought that will distract him and take him beyond the confines of his seclusion. If he lacks certainty, then let him prepare himself to be strong enough for seclusion, in order that his certainty may be strengthened by what is revealed to him in his seclusion. There is no other way. This is one of the firm preconditions governing seclusion. Seclusion bequeaths knowledge of this world. Hunger, Zhu. Hunger is the third pillar of this divine way. It includes the fourth pillar, which is vigilance, in the same way that seclusion includes silence. There are two kinds of hunger: voluntary hunger, which is that of the seekers, and obligatory, involuntary hunger, which is that of the verifiers. The verifier does not impose hunger on himself. Rather, his physical nourishment decreases when he is in the station of intimacy, yuans, and increases when he is the station of haiba. When the verifiers eat a large quantity of food, it is a sure sign of the force with which the lights of reality rush upon their hearts in their contemplation of majestic grandeur, azama. Eating a small amount of food, on the other hand, is a sure sign of the converse. They enjoy in their contemplation of intimacy. For the seekers, an increase in food indicates their distance from God, exalted is He, their banishment from His door, and their enslavement to the covetous animal self through its domination of them. For them, a decrease in food indicates that sense of divine generosity are passing over their hearts, causing them to be oblivious to their bodily needs. Hunger is, in every state and every respect, a means whereby the seeker and the verifier can attain to a more exalted degree, for the seeker in terms of spiritual states, for the verifier in terms of mysteries. One who practices hunger should not overdo the period of being in a state of alertness, since an excess in this respect leads to delusion and loss of reason, as well as a weakening of physical health. There is no way that a seeker should practice hunger in order to attain spiritual states, except under the direction of a spiritual master. If he has none, it is still not possible, although in this case he may reduce the quantity of food he eats and observe ordinary fasting and eating only one meal a day. Should he want to eat a fatty stew with meat, let him not do so more than twice a week if he wants to have benefit, until he finds a master. When he has found one, he should place himself in his hands, and the master will look after him and his affairs, since he knows better than he does what is most beneficial for him. Hunger has a spiritual state and a station. It is characterized by humility, submission, civility, lack of self-importance, indigence, discretion, tranquil emotions, and an absence of base thoughts. This is the state the seeker has. For the verifiers, its state consists of delicacy of feeling, serenity, intimacy with God, disappearance of worldliness, and transcendence of ordinary human characteristics through the divine might and lordly dominion. As a station, it is the station of eternal self-subsistence, al-Maq'am al-Samadant, a most elevated station characterized by mysteries, revelations, and states. This, then, is the benefit of hunger for the one who possesses spiritual intention, himma, not ordinary hunger. For ordinary physical hunger restores good temperament and brings bodily health, nothing more. Hunger bequeaths knowledge of Satan. May God preserve us and you from him. Vigilance, Sahar. Vigilance is the fruit of hunger, for an empty stomach drives away sleep. There are two kinds of vigilance: vigil of the eye and vigil of the heart. The heart's vigil is awakening from the sleep of forgetfulness and seeking contemplation, while the eye's vigil is the desire to maintain the spiritual intention in the heart, to pursue the quest for night converse, musamara. For when the eye sleeps, the activity of the heart ceases. But if the heart is not asleep when the eye is, its objective is contemplation of its previous vigil, no more. Indeed, for the heart to observe anything else is not possible. The benefit of vigil is in keeping the heart active and in ascending to the high abodes which lie in the safekeeping of God. Exalted is He. The spiritual state of vigilance is to cultivate the present moment, for both the seeker and the verifier, except that the verifier also has an increase in assuming the lordly attributes unknown to the seeker. Its spiritual station is that of everlasting self-existence, qayyumiyah. Sometimes some of our companions have declared it impossible that someone could be realized, tahakkuk, in self-existence, while others could not admit the possibility of assuming its attributes, takhalluk. I myself met Abd Allah Junaid and found that he denied this possibility. As for us, we do not agree with that view, since the realities have shown us that for the perfect man, there exists no name in the divine presence that he is not the bearer of. If there is any one of our company who is undecided about this question, that is due to his lack of true knowledge concerning what man is in his essential reality and origin. If he knew himself, this matter would not be difficult for him. Vigilance bequeaths knowledge of the self. The pillars, archaean, of spiritual knowledge are complete when knowledge revolves around the acquisition of these four: knowledge of God, of the self, of this world, and of Satan. When man withdraws from the created world and from himself, and when he silences his own internal voice, leaving space for his Lord's mentioning of him, and when he relinquishes corporeal nourishment and remains wakeful while others are plunged in sleep, when these four properties have been united in him, then his humanity is transmuted into angelic nature and his servanthood into mastery. His intellect becomes a sense faculty, his invisible reality becomes visible, and his interior becomes manifest. Then if he leaves the place where he is, he leaves behind his substitute, badal, a spiritual reality which can be encountered by the spirits of the people of the place. This saint has left. If a resident of that place conceives a strong desire to see this person, then that spiritual reality, which he left behind as his substitute, will take on sensible form for them. He talks to them, and they talk to him. They imagine that he really is the one they are talking to, when in fact he is not there until he has finished what he needed to do. This spiritual being can also take on bodily form when its owner himself conceives a strong desire for or connects his spiritual will to that place. This can even happen to someone other than a substitute. The difference between these two situations is that when the true substitute leaves, he knows that he has left behind his substitute, while he who is not a substitute is not aware of that, even though he has actually left one behind. This is because the latter is not master of these 4 pillars that we have mentioned. And regarding this I say, O you who desire the spiritual abodes of the substitutes, without aspiring to the requisite actions, do not hanker after them in vain, for you cannot be one of them without emulating their spiritual states. Silence your heart, seclude yourself from all that brings you down to other than the beloved Master. Be wakeful and hunger. Thus shall you be given their station and their company in all your coming and going. The house of sainthood has various pillars, and our masters who live there are of the substitutes. Amidst silence and seclusion unceasing, hunger and vigilance, live those of pure virtue and noble eminence. May God grant us and you success in accomplishing these pillars, and may He accord us the grace of the abodes of perfection. Indeed, He is the most munificent friend.